What we're seeing from Trump right now is both a cognitive and physical collapse, and he is well aware of it at this point, complaining that we can see his turkey neck or that his hair has somehow gotten worse, or freaking out about the fact that it's very obvious that there is pudding pouring out of his brain. Donald Trump can't complete a real sentence. He's constantly slurring, and his rants and rambles make less sense than ever, if that was even possible. And it's what we saw in the Oval Office today, and why Donald Trump's handlers had to jump in and try to save him, as he was unable to speak sentences that actually meant anything. And we're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into why Donald Trump's handlers had to step in, had to try to save him, had to try to boost his ego, I want to start with the nonsensical lie that he started this press briefing with, and it was about black women in MAGA hats in Chicago.
And the people of Chicago are walking around with MAGA hats. You have women, beautiful black women, walking around with MAGA hats. Please let the president in, and we don't care how he does it. They're not interested in National Guard or Army, Navy, bring them in. Marines, bring in the Marines. They just want the crime to stop. And more so because of the success that we had in D.C. I think if we didn't have that success, nobody would even believe it.
I don't think Donald Trump has ever said anything that so didn't happen more than that. They love me. You notice how all the stories are always like, the people came up and they quietly said it, but they're coming up to us in secret behind closed doors and they think I'm fantastic. It reminds me when Don Jr. was like really podcasting, and every episode would open up with like people in the airport coming up to him or on the street and saying how wonderful he was. You hear this line a lot from MAGA. Nancy Mace does it as well. She's like, I was in this private setting, which you've never heard of, at a place that doesn't exist, but don't fact check me on this. And people came up and said that they just loved me so much because I'm so fantastic. But what's not so fantastic is the cuts that Donald Trump was bragging about. I'm sure he'll say, we all love those, but this one in particular has some extra sort of horrible meaning behind it.
They don't talk about this. You know, we're getting rid of programs that we didn't like, but that were negotiated in, but we didn't like. We're terminating those programs, and they're going to be terminated on a permanent basis. And it's thousands of people, and it's billions of dollars. We're getting rid of a lot of things that we never wanted because of the fact that they made this stupid move. And then,
so this is nothing new, but it's different this time with recent news out of Alaska. Donald Trump is saying that he's cutting the Democrat employees, the woke programs, but one of those supposed DEI programs was $20 million in Alaska, a grant to stop flooding. Flooding that happened in the very town where Donald Trump cut the funding for. Houses are destroyed now. The community is struggling to rebuild. Why? Because Donald Trump thought that that $20 million grant to prevent the very disaster that happened was woke and for DEI. And while Donald Trump is sending not just $20, but $40 billion to Argentina and countless wasted billions to Israel, the America First policy is hurting real Americans. But Donald Trump doesn't care. Donald Trump just wants to do what Donald Trump wants. And right now, that's attack his opponents.
after Don in particular, I'll never forget Adam Shifty Schiff, a total crooked guy, lying in Congress, making up a phone conversation that I have with you, totally made up. Then when he heard it was taped, he wanted to disappear. And Nancy Pelosi went crazy because they wanted to impeach me based on the conversation that was made up. When they heard the tape, everybody, you know, I won it unanimously in the Republican Party. I got every single vote, something that never happens, and I beat it. But think of it, they want to put my son in jail for something that they made up. So they know they made it up. And they say he will serve the rest of his life in prison. These are sick, bad people. And don't tell me about us going after them. If anything, we've been very, very soft. I wouldn't be that soft, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's talk.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Let's go.
So Trump clearly has spun himself up into a tizzy in this press conference. He's losing his mind. He's angry. He's lashing out. He's justifying every attack that he's ever launched by saying it was their fault and I'm right and I'm fantastic, which is the same attitude that he brings to talking about the supposed wars that he's solved. Well, one of them Clearly, Donald Trump doesn't understand because he couldn't speak properly about Pakistan and India because he thought a different country was involved.
As an example, if you look at Pakistan and Iran, I told them I was in the midst of negotiating a trade deal with Iran, and Pakistan was going to be in line. And because of tariffs, they all want to negotiate much differently. We were making a good deal, and then I heard that they're shooting at each other. And I said during one of my conversations, are you guys going to go to war? Two nuclear powers we are thinking about. I said, here's the deal. You go to war, I'm going to put a 200% tariff. I'm going to stop you from doing any business in the United States. I said it to both of them. Within 24 hours, the war ended. That would have been a nuclear war. And again, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who was here too.
This is a complete collapse of Donald Trump's brain before our very eyes. What conflict in the past couple of months between Pakistan and Iran is he talking about? Trump can't speak about the wars he's solved, yet he wants a Nobel Peace Prize. We saw this the other day when the Middle East Peace Summit went to Egypt and Donald Trump decided that he was going to invite Bibi Netanyahu, which then led countless military and world leaders to say that they wouldn't go if his presence was there. Obviously, Netanyahu, much like Trump, is a war criminal and a disgusting figure, but Trump, who hasn't actually brokered peace in the Middle East because Israel has already violated this ceasefire, clearly doesn't understand the relationship between these world leaders. He doesn't understand the conflicts themselves. He doesn't understand the difference between India and Iran. And you're telling me this is a foreign policy genius? No. It's just not the case. But of course, to soothe his ego as Trump was fucking up, Kash Patel had to jump in, trying to save the dear leader, and said this.
And Mr. President, just one last thank you from the men and women at the FBI. You found a way to get these individuals paid during a government shutdown, our 1811 agents. So on behalf of the FBI, it's a great debt that we owe you, sir. They're now allowed to pay for their families, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you, dear leader. You've shut down the government and people are receiving their paychecks as usual at the FBI. We should throw you a parade and cost us $50 million again. Why is Donald Trump, the guy who shut down the government, getting credit for paying people during a government shutdown that shouldn't have happened and people would have been paid if it wasn't for Trump? This is the circle of the let's praise Trump and find random reasons to say he's the greatest. First, Donald Trump causes the problem. Then, Donald Trump blames the problem on Democrats. Then, Donald Trump offers up some fake solution which doesn't really do anything. And we end with MAGA Republicans praising him as the greatest person who has ever lived. This is just not the case. Donald Trump has broken our government. Donald Trump wants to break our government. And Donald Trump is going to continue to lie. The hypocrisy is always baked in. And some of the worst examples that we've seen recently, as Donald Trump pretends that he cares about speech while he attacks the No Kings protest, came with a Politico article yesterday. Now, I want to diverge a little bit from this press conference, but what I'm about to say is really important. And the person that I'm going to call out, the fucking piece of shit that is our vice president, you're going to want to stick around for. But J.D. Vance, after this Politico article came out of some of the highest level young Republican leaders in the country who work in congressional offices, who get awards for member of Congress, they're an article that leaked from Politico. You might have saw this about their I Love Hitler group chat, the disgusting slurs and racial epithets that they shared. And J.D. Vance responded to this group chat being leaked, responded from the calls from Republican leaders and Democratic leaders alike to have some fucking consequences for these kids. And what did J.D. Vance have to say?
But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And at some point, we're all going to have to say, enough of this BS.
So these kids, full context, were talking about how much they loved Hitler in a group chat in which they were sharing racial epithets and being disgusting. And Vance's response is, oh, they're just kids. Stop it. Don't be mean. Oh, we want free speech. We're the free speech party. JD, you're such a fucking gross chud. That big, fat, ugly face of yours. I saw a comment the other day. It was like, Jack, you might be getting into like personal attacks too much. I want to limit the personal attacks from my commentary, but also, guys, look at these disgusting freaks. Are we seriously not going to call out how horrible they are inside and out? But I want to get to the substance. Also, J.D. Vance, you're disgusting looking. That one more. We get one more attack on J.D. Vance personally. J.D. Vance went to Munich in February, Munich Security Conference, and he lectured European leaders, wagging his little finger, saying, oh, you go after free speech. People can't share their ideas in Europe. Rah. A complete lie, and then has come back to the U.S. and aided Donald Trump in the greatest crackdown on free speech and free expression that we have seen in the history of the United States. We are macing guys in blow-up frog costumes. We are disappearing college students for calling a genocide and saying, hey guys, do you know what would be cool? You know those billions that you send to Israel to blow up kids in Gaza? Instead of my tax dollars funding you buying Bibi Netanyahu, the war criminal, another tank, while Israel has free health care and free college tuition, maybe we could invest in the youth of America instead of killing the children of Gaza. That would be cool. And if you say that, J.D. Vance puts you in jail. Right? That's what J.D. Vance does. And when there were kids in the White House talking about how much they hated Indians and they were doing it before it was cool, J.D. said, let's give them a second chance. Right? That's how J.D. Vance feels. When you're a bigot, it's speech. But when you are standing up for the basic humanity of people, you're a criminal to Donald Trump? Shouldn't that really explain it all, J.D., you piece of shit? And that's what's happening right now. And I want to talk about this. The No Kings protest, which I've been talking about a lot, and I've been talking about it in what I hope is like an aspirational and exciting frame, because I want us to feel good every once in a while, because damn it, we need it. But there's something more important happening with the No Kings protest right now that I want you to be wary of, and I don't want it to discourage your participation, because it shouldn't. Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, all these Republicans, a very coordinated effort to say that this is a hate fest, these are paid protesters, this is Antifa, these people are the devil, they're violent. What they want to do is gin up a response from their little ICE armies, their little small militias of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, and they want to try to intimidate us. That's what Donald Trump wants. The guys who have bitched at us nonstop, saying that me calling the Nazis, who profess to be Nazis, by the way, I think guys who say that they love Hitler, probably Nazis, and they're saying me pointing that out, making that clear, makes me a bigot and makes me dangerous. I don't even know what it makes me. But then they want to say that if you go out and say, hey, the founding ideal of this nation, the founding ideal is that we don't have kings, we don't have authoritarians, this is a democracy. What do? They call you the devil, and they want to intimidate you. We will not be intimidated. We will not face their intimidation. We are going to call it out. We will show up, and I am so excited to see y'all there. And if you haven't found a No Kings protest close to you, I got a link below. I did a community post today. I want you to check out where you can go out and protest, and I will see you all out there. I might get a frog costume. I'm fired up today. We should be fired up. I hope you're fired up. I hope we're all fighting. This video might have ran a little long. I feel like some of them have run long lately. But again, I keep saying, like, if I'm just going to yell at J.D. Vance for 8 minutes, you got to cut me some slack. But we're going to keep on giving them hell. We're going to keep on fighting back. If you want to support that on this show, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.